Welcome to my guitar collection, the Ministry of Guitar. Let's open this thing up. A PRS McCarty 594 single cut wood library. If that isn't one of the best tops that you have seen on any guitar, let alone Fender, let alone PRS, let alone whatever. This is just, I don't know. I see plenty of nice tops. I have a lot of PRS's, private stocks, and this is no ordinary store either. It is Ishibashi Ochano Mizu's world's finest guitars. It is a Gibson custom shop only. The whole shop is only Gibson custom shop. Fender vintage hot rod 57 Stratocaster, candy apple red. This is, apart from being one of the most incredible looking guitars you will see, this is in charcoal. This is one of the most special PRS guitars out there. Right, continuing the theme of unusual Les Pauls, this is one of my favorites. This is Gibson Alex Lifeson, and if you don't know what that is, you may be in for a little bit of a treat. There we go. Nice case, little bit of a signature motif. What a nice top this is. Okay, let's take a closer look. Beautiful Viceroy burst. Standard Les Paul, but not really, as you can tell. It is not a standard Les Paul standard. This has a Floyd Rose. It has coil splits, including a piezo switch, and it has, if you turn this thing around, Axcess neck, hence the name Les Paul Axcess. It's a custom shop, so it's a Gibson custom Les Paul Axcess Alex Lifeson, to give it its full name. And quite an unusual neck for a Les Paul standard. Not fat, but not thin, like a very neutral neck. Let's take this thing out, put it on the stand, and talk a little bit about it. A little bit of Alex Lifeson's signature on the truss rod cover. Okay, what do you need to know about it? This particular guitar is not fully stock. It has Sir pickups in it. I believe these are Sir Thornbuckers. I need to open it up and confirm, but that's what I was told by the seller. So, which is actually an improvement, because one of the weak points of the Alex Lifeson model are the pickups actually. It comes with a very weird ceramic pickup. Regular Gibson USA pickups, which are not great, and those are not custom shop pickups. They're the usual, forgetting the name now, but ceramic pickup in the neck and a very ordinary bridge pickup. So the pickups are an improvement, though I intend to put bare knuckles at some point in time. What is amazing about this guitar is, it is like, if you like Les Pauls like I do, it's like having a very good Gibson Les Paul with a lot of improvements that make it a much better, more modern guitar. And I know Floyd Roses divide opinion, but once you get to know them, they are quite easy, and I would say they're easier to change strings on than the Bixby. So I don't mind Floyd Roses at all. I certainly prefer it to the Bixby in the other R9 that I showed you earlier. The color of this is very, very classic, which is a good camouflage for what a monster this guitar is. And because it's the slightly thinner body Les Paul, it has all the carves, etc., etc. It makes it very ergonomic. It even has a volute, so it's quite strong. Quite ironic, it has these regular Kluxon, Gibson pickups. Tuning heads, very traditional, but that's okay. And it has the locking nut, and its tuning stability is fine. A guitar I really like. It's a signature guitar, but hardly matters. It's just as a signature guitar, almost spec the way that I would want to spec it up. So there you have it, the Alex Lifeson Gibson Custom Les Paul Axcess. What we have now is something about as traditional and as iconic as it gets. It's a Fender, but no ordinary Fender. Yes, this is a Rosewood Telecaster, all Rosewood, custom shop, and if you are a Beatles fan, you know exactly why this is something that should be on your radar. So, let's talk a little bit about the specs. All Rosewood, body, neck, fretboard. There's one piece that is not Rosewood, that is the maple spline in between. So this is actually much more like a George Harrison Telecaster than the George Harrison Telecaster, as in the signature model. And the specs on this are fairly accurate to 1960s Rosewood Telecaster. The pickups are maybe slightly different. These has Fender custom shop hand wound pickups. I think this bottom one is a twisted telly, so maybe that's a little bit hotter. But other than that, everything is literally as you would expect. The interesting thing also is stuff like the Rosewood fretboard is gloss Rosewood, so unlike most Rosewood fretboards which are unfinished, this one has been glossed up like a Fender maple fretboard often is. And yeah, it's just a very good Telecaster. I've had this for a while. I bought this again in Japan, again in a Japanese winter. The story is, as I recounted in another video which you can watch on my channel, is I went to buy a PRS Modern Eagle 1. I'll repeat that. I went to buy a PRS Modern Eagle 1, but this guitar kind of blew it out of the water, and that's what the story was. I've had it for about maybe 4 or 5 years now. I enjoy playing it. It just sounds like a good Telecaster, plays like a good Telecaster, though I'm not much of a Telecaster person. This is a little bit of a keeper, and I am a big Beatles fan, so that doesn't hurt. Alright, so this is the Fender Custom Shop Rosewood Telecaster Closet Classic. That's what the spec is called, from 2009. I want to continue the theme of natural wood guitars after the Telecaster Rosewood. And though this guitar doesn't have a hard case, it's a made in USA PRS, and it is a limited run made in USA PRS, and it is a very, very special guitar as well. So let's check this out. And I found out it is difficult to open a zip with one case. So you can open a hard case with one hand, but a soft case with one hand is apparently more difficult. Let's check it out. You see that beautiful golden goodness? Amber would be more like it. Alright, let's pull this thing out without damaging it. And let's take a look. There we go. Alright. What is this? This is a PRS limited edition, made in USA, CE24 reclaimed. Now let's get into what that means. A CE24 is a lot like a custom 24, with 2 exceptions, 3 actually. The biggest one being, excuse me, it has a bolt-on neck. Secondly, it has a little bit less of a carve. It still has a carve. And thirdly, it has different metal for the hardware. It doesn't have nickel. I think it has just cast steel or something of that. I can't remember exactly. That's a CE24. The reclaimed was a limited run made of wood that they reclaimed from the temperate rainforests of Brazil. So these are cold climate woods. There are 2 woods. There is the top wood, which I'm forgetting the name of. It's called Peroba Rosa or something. It's like rosewood, not like rosewood like rosewood, but like a rosy color. This one is a little bit more amber-like. These were used on houses, and then even the fretboard is made of another wood. I'll link to my actual full video. I'm just forgetting the names of the woods right now. So yeah, so that was this guitar, and it's semi-hollow. Uh, each piece is different because they were reclaimed from a house. So this one has some nail marks over here, a very beautiful grain. Um, Semi-hollow construction gives it a very unique tone. This is very different from any other PRS custom 24C 24. If the idea of a 24 fret guitar appeals to you, yet you don't want that super modern sound, you want something a little bit different, a little bit more airy, woody. Maybe I should use those terms, but they are reasonably accurate. This should be something you should look up, and it's really in a class of its own because there is no other custom 24 or C24 which is like this, which has this kind of a very natural wood, semi-hollow, super old. These woods are at least 150, 200 years old. Honestly, these things are a bargain. Even now you can get them for like $3,000 or something, not much more than that, maybe even a little less. And for that, to get a PRS 24 fret custom 24 like guitar but with a limited run, beautiful sound is really something. So I was very happy to pick this up. I picked this up from my friend who owns Indonesia's largest guitar shop, high-end guitars. So he had one sitting around, so I got it. And it was a few years ago. These aren't available anymore, so I was glad I made that decision when I did. Alright, let's take a quick look at the back. The back is just mahogany, maple neck. Back is more regular, mahogany body. And the other thing I should mention is this has a very beautiful satin finish for the neck and the body. So it's very nice feeling if you like satin. Sounds are also very nice. As I said, you can check out a more detailed video on my channel. Alright, this is the PRS C24 Reclaimed limited edition. Let's continue the semi-hollow theme. This is a very unusual guitar. This is a PRS SC277 made in Korea. Few things. It's a baritone. 277 refers to the scale length. It's semi-hollow. And it has P90s, so a baritone, semi-hollow baritone with P90s, quite the thing. What makes this particular piece even more special is that it is part of the European limited run, which was called the Stealth run. What made it stealth? Satin quilt top, which is beautiful. Ebony fretboards. This is regular ebony. So this is the color ebony usually is, folks. Ebony isn't always black, unless sometimes you get pure black or you can stain it. But this is a beautiful piece of ebony. Feels like ebony. And it's satin. So you can probably tell it has this very nice, it's no modern eagle, but it's a very nice satin finish front and back. A beautiful guitar. So this is a guitar well worth having in your arsenal. It sounds like nothing else. I think it's particularly suited for clean. You can play distorted, but the distorted that you play with this would be more of an indie distorted, a little bit fuzzy, not as distinct or as powerful as say a humbucker or a ceramic humbucker, but it does its own thing, and I really like it for like ambient music. This has really thick strings on it. I have 68s to 13s, which are the stock strings. Normally my baritones in B standard would be having 56s, so you can tell how thick the strings are. So it's like in between a guitar and a bass, and it does its own thing really well. The only modification that I've done to it is I've swapped the SE knobs for the lampshade PRS knobs, and it is a very incredible top. It's a veneer, but it's a very high quality veneer. So how this guitar looks is certainly like $1 million. What else? The P90s are okay. I'm not an expert on P90s, so I don't have any commentary on whether they're good or bad. All I'll say is that they suffice, and the tuning stability, this hip shot style bridge, fixed bridge, is also very good. No trouble at all. And yeah, there we go. This is the PRS SE277 Stealth semi-hollow. Alright folks, we're going to shift gears, and maybe looking at that pink Ibanez logo, I think you can already guess what's going on, can't you? Okay, so this is also a very special guitar. If you can read, you can tell it says Ibanez 1998 UV7 UV77 VBK 7-string guitar. This is the second generation Ibanez Universe, but the first year of it. And we're just gonna open it up for you in a second. Oh wow. Every time I open this up, I'm reminded of how amazing this guitar is. It certainly looks the business. What else? It is a 7-string, of course. Sorry, I was just looking at it and just thinking about, because it's it's a very nice guitar. I haven't seen it for a while, and I just was reminded. So that pause was genuine. Okay, let's talk about it. So the Ibanez Universe came out in 1990. The first generation had a black version and a white version. Then they made this one, which was a super premium guitar by Ibanez. And what made it special was that, of course, it had all the appointments, very premium. It has this binding, mirror pickguard, vanishing inlays, but that's also there on the original. This pyramid, Freemason-like pyramid at the bottom. But importantly, it continued the same neck, this beautiful, very thin wizard neck as the original. And the importance of this is that the later versions of this guitar would have a 3-piece or a 5-piece multiply neck, because to make it stronger, but they would never quite get the same feel and the same, I don't know. This neck is one of the best 7-string necks that you will play. Even for me, who doesn't like thin necks, it's just an amazing neck. And for a 7-string, a slightly thinner neck is not a bad thing. So the neck in this guitar is all about that neck. It's about the color. It's about just being a very, very premium instrument, the best that Ibanez could make. And this was certainly used by many metal bands. This was also a dream guitar for many people. And it's still a very early example of a 7-string guitar which has a provenance all of its own. What else about it? I have played it. I've even used it for my band a couple of times. Jamming wise, there are playing it and jamming, there were 2 or 3 observations. It's a very high quality instrument, but it does show its age. The pots are a little bit scratchy. I mean, that's very easy to fix. And it is very, very neutral sounding. It doesn't sound like a modern guitar at all. Modern guitars have a certain sound to them. This one reminds me of a different era when people weren't so concerned about palm muting and genting, even though it's a 7-string. They're more concerned about lead guitar. So that's kind of the feel that this guitar gives me. And yeah, that is pretty much what this guitar is all about. I have a regular original 1990 Universe as well, which I will show you at a later stage during this collection video. Alright, we'll move on to the next one then. Okay, after going through the UV777, I could not resist but bring out the original, the 1990 first generation Universe. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that this is not an original case, but it doesn't matter, because the guitar is astounding. I got this from Japan actually, and it is a very, very nice example. And this guitar is a favorite of a lot of people actually. A lot of my friends who've played it are just in awe of this instrument, the neck, how it plays, how it feels. It may be a little bit early to say this, but if you think about what the 1959 burst was to the solid electric guitar market, or the humbucker, dual humbucker guitar market, and the number of bands that played it, and then all the music it influenced, I have to say that the original Ibanez Universe, like the one I have over here, is the granddaddy of all extended range, because this was the first 7-string guitar. 7 led to 8, led to 9, led to baritone 7s, led to goodness knows what all. all the modern kind of music that you have for metal, gent, etc., etc. And it is very clear that it all started here. So if there ever was, if the what the burst is to metal, sorry, what the burst is to rock, what the 59 Les Paul is to rock, I have to say the 1990 Universe is probably to modern metal, undoubtedly. More about this example. It's nicknamed Red Eye because of two reasons. One, it was the knobs, the parts were swapped to red by the previous Japanese owner. I think it suits Japan. Actually, it looks like the Japanese flag. I just thought about that. I also like the name Red Eye because my flights to Japan used to really give me a red eye, because what I used to do when I was working on Japan for the last 5 years is, more often than not, I used to take a red eye flight, land in the morning, work all day. So this is after flying 6 hours from Singapore, work all day, and then we have, it's Japan, so you have drinks in the evening, then you go out. So it was a fun but a very, very tiring exercise, but fun also. Let me be clear. So that's why this guitar suits the name Red Eye very well. Specs about it: this is all original. This has the same disappearing pyramid inlays I told you about. Honestly, I need to get a black one of these to complete the set, and I need to get one of them before the prices on these go ballistic, because it's just a matter of time before they go ballistic, and I don't want to be the one trying to get one when they're worth like $10,000. Right now they're still about $4,000 maybe, which is very reasonable, which is let me not get started on how little 4,000 can get for you and how some Gibsons cost like double that, and let me not get there. This is a very good guitar. The standout feature of this guitar is the neck. So this is the first generation Wizard neck. These were famous for being astoundingly easy to play. It's quite thin actually. Let me see if I can just hold it in a manner to show that to you. It's quite thin and it's super fast, it's super easy. The disadvantage of these necks were that they were very susceptible to breakage, especially if you lock the nut too hard. This guitar is fine, but as you can see, there's a scarp joint here that you have to be very careful with. And if you're buying one of these, please look out to ensure there's no damage on this part. And it was a little bit of a design flaw, not a flaw, right? It's like one of those things where it was an amazing design, just not durable. So later Ibanez replaced it with the 5-piece. I think it's a 5-piece multiply. So the original ones with the original neck unscathed are very desirable. And when I say later, that was in the 2000s. So 1990, all of the Ibanez first generation will have this neck, and some of the UV777P that I showed you earlier will also have this neck. What else? The white has aged to a beautiful cream. The fretboard is in great condition. The frets are in great condition. Just a wonderful guitar to play. Again, similar to the UV777P, it is very, very much sounding like a lead guitar than a rhythm guitar. This, of course, is what Steve Vai used and put on the cover of Passion and Warfare. This identical model, of course, in a different paint scheme. So as you can imagine, with Steve Vai's proclivities, it's more of a lead guitar. This is not your gent machine. This will not give you the tuk-tuk palm mute that naturally like new modern pickups will, but it will sound very, very beautiful when you play leads on it. Okay, so this is the 1990 Ibanez Universe, and we will move on to the next guitar. So I thought, because I'm on a little bit of an Ibanez roll, I will complete the Ibanez's in my collection. There are two more. One is this, and one is that, the acoustic. Let's start here. So what is this thing? It's a hard soft case, which means it's a soft case, but it's hard. Am I a big fan of it? Maybe not. I think it'll be great for gigging, perhaps. Though I end up taking a mono gig bag anyway. And it just doesn't have the panache of a hard case. It's a little bit fussy, but anyways, it's what it is. So let's open this thing up. Yep. Who doesn't love unzipping a soft case instead of the latches? You know, a big part of owning an expensive, nice guitar is the feeling of opening the hard case, the latches. It's a very sensory experience.
makes you feel good. This does not make you feel that good, but what's inside will make you feel good. Okay, so we showed you a 7-string Steve Vai Universe. This is it's a signature guitar of an artist that is arguably as influential, if not more, than Steve Vai, and that is Meshuggah. And this is the FTM33, if I'm getting the name right. This monstrosity is basically, and I'm having to hold the hard case open. Another disadvantage of this format, doesn't stay open. Okay, so bear with my poor camera work. This is a Meshuggah Friedrich Thorin. I'll put the name, or maybe you know who I'm talking about. My apologies, sir, for not remembering your name correctly or not pronouncing it correctly. This is his signature. It's like a Firebird, but it's an 8-string Firebird. It's something else. What should you know about it? Well, let me first pick it up and see if I can pick this up. Okay, this is better, though I have to hold it at an angle. So 8 strings, 4 aside, rosewood fretboard, swamp ash body, mirror pickguard, Lundgren pickups, which are very good. So if I told you that the Steve Vai Universe pickups are more for lead, these are perfect for gent, for muting, for riffing, for down tuning. So the best pickups for that, honestly. It has this very complex bridge, but it is not a Floyd Rose. So this is one of the weird things about this guitar. It has a very complex bridge with all the individual locking screws in the individual intonation adjustment, and it has locking nut, but it is not a Floyd Rose. So you've got all the disadvantages of Floyd Rose without any of the advantages, which is kind of silly. But then this has also been well documented by 8-string enthusiast Andrew Bena on YouTube. The back of it, it's a satin finish. It's a maple neck. It's a satin finish black. Swamp ash body. And no locking tuners because it has the locking nut, which again is silly because I'd much rather have locking tuners. If I'm sounding a little bit critical, it's because these design choices are weird, but let that not confuse you in terms of what a beast of a guitar that is. Just a quick note before I move on to the next guitar. What you should know about these things if you're planning to buy one is that there are 2 versions of the fretboard, either Rosewood or Jatoba, because there was a period of time when Rosewood became quite illegal because of the whole CITES thing. So both are good. I would prefer to get the Rosewood one like this one. That's one. What else? Just know that a Firebird shape isn't for everyone. I'm a big fan of the Firebird shape, and in fact I think this will be a good transition to do a Firebird right after this. But you have to know that it takes a little bit of getting used to. It's a bit like an Explorer actually. And this one, is it a Firebird, is it an Explorer? Got a bit of both, but more Firebird. So if you want to get one, I highly encourage you get it. These are very rare. And I should mention the quality because that was the main thing I wanted to say. These are made in Indonesia and they're quite expensive for made in Indonesia guitars. Does this mean it has made in Indonesia quality? No. It's a pretty high quality instrument. Does it mean it's got the quality of a US made instrument? No. So this one is probably like the quality of a made in Korea, based on my experience owning many made in Korea, made in US guitars. The frets are amazing, no problem there. It's just, I think, it's an ineffable thing. The overall premiumness is not comparable to a PRS, but it is more than comparable to a very good PRS SE. And definitely the quality is as good as a Gibson if you wanted to have that comparison. Okay, moving on to the next guitar for real now. Let's continue the Firebird theme. This is the real McCoy. This is the real Gibson Firebird, and not just any. This is the most special Firebird of them all. I think you can see. What does it say? It says 2006 Gibson Firebird 7 Candy Apple Red CAR Custom. Okay, let's open this up. To be clear, this is not a custom shop. but it is incredible. There you go. Just like the Strat we saw earlier in Candy Apple Red, this is the Firebird. I have a more detailed video on my channel if you want to check it out. But for now, just take in the beauty of this guitar. And let me tell you a little bit about the model for those of you who are not that familiar with Firebirds. I'm not going to get into the story of how much I always wanted a Firebird. The other video is for that. But long story short, wanted one badly when I first got my first guitar. I couldn't afford it, and that too I couldn't afford the Epiphone. Many years later, I accidentally found a Gibson Firebird, which was this one, because my wife was late. Yes, that's the story. Okay, so the Firebird was Gibson's response in a way to the Fender Strat, because the Strat was considered, Fender guitars were considered very streamlined. So they wanted to make something similar. So they hired a car designer. I think his name is Ray Deet. I need to look up the name, but you can just look it up yourself. Ray something with the D. And he made this thing which is completely 1950s America in a guitar. All these swoops, curves. I mean, in fact, there was even a car called the Firebird, the Pontiac Firebird. This model is the 3 pickup version, which is the Firebird 7, which is the most expensive version. So gold hardware, ebony fretboard, 3 pickups as I mentioned, and of course the Viceroy, the horrible Viceroy, which doesn't really work well, but it looks so good. 4 knobs, but different layout from a Les Paul. This one will have the middle position being 1 pickup activated, so it's like 2 pickups in parallel with each other. So neck, it's got neck, middle, which is the neck and middle in middle position, which is the neck and middle in parallel each other, and the third position is the bridge. Mother of pearl inlays. What else you should know is banjo tuners. This is one of the best looking guitars of all time. It is also not necessarily one of the most practical guitars of all time. It's massive. When you play it, you feel as if you're playing a baritone guitar, because the fretboard extends out. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's just so good looking that you forgive everything. And you just kind of hang it on the wall. It's that kind of guitar. Not on the selling list, because it was just a guitar that I wanted for so long, and getting such a good example was difficult. So yeah, much to like, much to get irritated by, but not really, because sometimes you have to forgive guitars even if they're not perfect, and this certainly is in that camp. Okay, so this is the Gibson Firebird 7. The next guitar I'll show you will be a modern version of this guitar, but with significantly better quality and playability. From 1950s, 60s America, we now come to 2010s America, or very specifically the Chesapeake, New England area. And what do we have here? So this is a brand that a lot of you will not know, but you should know what it is. It is a Knaggs. And who is Knaggs? What is Knaggs? Knaggs was the person who founded the private stock program at PRS Guitars, Paul Reed Smith. And he was the head of private stock. And then he left to do his own thing, because he wanted to make guitars that are a bit more traditional, yet slightly different vision from PRS. So that was one of the reasons why he did that. So he makes many models. This is their offset or Firebird, however you call it, and it's like having a Firebird with no compromise with the quality of a PRS, and that is something else as well. And there we go. So you can take a look at it. It is quite astonishing in the flesh, and it's not just about how it looks, frankly. Features wise as well, it is very modern yet very traditional. So let's talk about it. So Knaggs has 3 tiers. They're all made in the US, but 3 tiers in terms of how good the woods are. Tier 1 is the highest. This is the tier 1. So you can see it has an extremely figured maple top. Then the interesting thing about this guitar is that it has a 25.5 inch scale, so it's very Fender-like in that sense. 25.5 inch scale, but it is 2 humbuckers. This guitar originally came with Seymour Duncan's SH2, Jazz, and TB4, which I'm not a fan of. So these are swapped out to beautiful engraved mules, bare knuckle mules, amazing PF pickups. Controls wise, it has a master volume, master tone, and a 3-way with a coil split. And finally, it has this thing called a Knaggs tremolo. And the Knaggs tremolo, if you have seen any anybody who knows their stuff talk about it, someone like Phil McKnight, for example, you will find out that the Knaggs tremolo, along with the PRS tremolo, is probably one of the best designs that's out there. It's super usable. It doesn't go out of tune. It's a major improvement on like a Fender tremolo or a Floyd Rose. It's like astounding. The good stuff doesn't stop here. This has the gold Evo frets. So the frets on this guitar are very modern, very large. I would say medium, or the medium jumbo perhaps would be a better description. Amazing locking tuners as well. These are Goto locking tuners. Very nice. The headstock is a little reminiscent of a Strat, but in a more of a Gibson-like way, because it has a set neck, nice neck joint. All in all, it's just an incredible booty guitar. It's just something you can't go wrong with. Now, thing for me is that as much as I love the Firebird shape, I've realized that when it comes to actually playing and gigging with guitars, I don't end up using the big offset guitars. I don't end up using the Firebirds or the Explorers or the Jazz Masters. I end up just using the PRS, the regular double cut. So that has reduced the utility of this guitar a little bit for me. So I keep on going in two minds. I'm not really playing this guitar that much, but when I play it, I really love it, but then I don't use it for like jamming and stuff. So I keep going back and forth on whether I want to sell this. So I don't know. I'll keep going back and forth for a while. I have a feeling if I sell this, I'll really regret it, and then I'll spend like a few months trying to find another Tuckahoe, and these are extremely rare. So maybe I shouldn't sell it, but we'll see. For now, this is the Knaggs Tuckahoe in fire red, and this was built in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I want to round things off with the third Firebird, or rather the fourth Firebird style guitar in my collection. This is another authentic, not really, Gibson Firebird, and this is a very unusual Firebird. It's got some specs that are non-typical of Firebirds. Let's talk about it. So let's open it up. Am I missing a latch somewhere? I don't think so. It's just maybe the case needs another hand to open up, perhaps. Okay, there we go. Sorry for that brief intermission. The case was wedged shut. And this is a Firebird Studio. And you will see what makes it a Firebird Studio when you look at those pickups. These are indeed P90s, not many humbuckers. And you will notice that compared to the previous Firebird 7, the headstock is a little bit different. It's the opposite direction. Okay, let's talk about this. A Firebird Studio, the purist would say, is not really a Firebird, but screw the purists. It is a Firebird. Why they would say it's not a Firebird is because it doesn't have mini humbuckers. It has P90s. That's okay. It's a choice. And more importantly, it doesn't have a neck-through body. It has a set neck. The Firebird I showed you previously has a neck-through. It has a long neck with wings attached on top. This is just a body. This has the non-reverse headstock. So the previous one that you saw had the reverse headstock. This is the non-reverse, which actually I think is worse, because if you look at it, the lowest string has the shortest string extension, and the highest string has the highest, and it makes the highest string a bit tighter. These are marginal differences, in the lowest string a little bit less tight, whereas you would like the opposite effect. But I can't really say I noticed that difference, but it's just something for you to know. These are incredible rock machines. P90s in general are amazing for rock, and the Firebird is just such a guitar with so much attitude, and then you add that attitude of the P90s to the attitude of the Firebird at a price that is not very expensive. I mean, with the hard case, everything altogether, I think these will only run you about like say 1500, maybe 1800 at max US dollars, which for a full-fledged USA with a nice hard case is not a bad deal at all. And you get a lot of guitar with the Firebird. It is a big guitar, obviously a lot of wood, but it just has it kind of stands out above its price range. It's not like a Les Paul Studio, which feels like a cheaper version of a Les Paul. The Firebird Studio by itself feels like a very good guitar. Quality wise, this is standard Gibson USA fare. It is, I love Gibsons, but they're not comparable to PRS, but they're decent enough. What I cannot stand on Gibsons, unfortunately, is this. And this is one of the reasons why I think you should replace these with roller bridges, because this very hard edge is the reason why you don't really have amazing tuning stability, but they're okay. Again, if I criticize them, it's only because I've been spoiled by PRS. I love this gold Firebird insignia. It's gold actually, but it's looking red, reflecting red from the case, so that's very cool actually. 3-way toggle, neck, middle, both pickups, bridge, master volume and tone for each pickup, so you get a lot of versatility, a lot of sounds. Yeah, this is a great, if you want a good rock guitar and you want to stand out a little bit from the crowd, and you're okay to work with the whims of the Firebird shape, I can't recommend many other guitars than a Firebird Studio for the, this you are a rock, playing in a rock band. It would be the amazing guitar for that, and the P90s are perfect for that application. Alrighty, so this was the, I think 2018 or 17 Gibson Firebird Studio with P90s.